Question of the day. What is your favorite kind of, I believe Shut Up and Sit Down calls it folk game? Those games that you played growing up that may not even be real, but they probably are. Things like maybe Duck, Duck, Goose or Gander, Gander, Moose. Now see, that one I just made up, but no one would know because it sounds like something that could possibly be real. So today, we're taking a look at a game that's clearly based on a concept, an idea that has gone from being a folk game or a kind of a child's game into being a word for common parlance that means information has broken down. So it becomes a game of telephone, right? So information is broken down. It's used a lot in debating. But today we're talking about a game called Palm Reader, which has nothing to do with charlatans. It has... like that's gonna get me in trouble. Which has nothing to do with charlatans. It has to do with the idea of passing information by drawing in someone's palm. Nitrile, maybe a good idea to have for this game. You're going to draw a symbol, and the person to your left's hand, they're going to go around. So let's take a look at how this game plays. It is a cooperative game, but I have some thoughts about that. We'll talk about it at the final results. So here are the components for Palm Reader. There's a whole ton of cards here, all different difficulties. They are front and back cards, so there's a lot of options there. Just a ton of different cards. You have this nice die box. You take it, fold it up, you put the dice inside. Nice little dice, got a question mark instead of just generic 1 through 6. You will roll this secretly. Obviously, you'll be on the same team. Helps if you sit in a circle. You'll roll it. You will peek in there. You'll look at the card that's up. So that's number 2. You will then draw that symbol into the hand of the person next to you. So it might be something like this. We do 1, like that. That person will feel it in their hand, at which point they will go and draw that in the person next to their hand, who will draw it around and around and around and around back to you. And once you feel it in your hand, the person to your right will draw it into your right hand. You feel, hey, are we even close? Because if we're not close, you can take it around for one more time. You just lose a point. If you feel pretty confident with it, you have everyone hold their fists like this. You show them the card. They clasp their fists. They look at the card. And then everybody on 1, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 1, it says, will hold out that many fingers. You count up the amount of right answers, except for the person next to you, because obviously you know the answer, so you wouldn't count yours. Count up the number of right answers. Now, it does it based on let me show you, it does it based on kind of a Cracker Barrel peg game of ignoramus, all that sort of stuff, your names to be engraved in gold. I'm going to talk about how I think this can be played competitively, but that is the game. You're going to do that over and over. You're going to do it with 10 cards, but you're going to do that over and over. There are player limits, all those points you get there. And that's the game. It is a pretty basic, pretty simple game, but that's Palm Reader. So that's Palm Reader. It is a simple game of telephone with your hands. You're writing in the person to go around, right? It's cooperative. Now, I disagree. I know that and maybe there's a reason for it, but I think the game could and quite possibly should be played competitively to where you're playing in 2 groups. Now, I get it. Let me take that back for a second. When we have game groups, we have high numbers of game groups. So that may be why I'm able to say that we have 14, 15, 16 people typically. So in that aspect, if you're playing a game with 2 teams of 8, it just makes sense to see who scores the most points. If you're playing in a smaller group of 5, 6, 7, well then of course just play as one team. I should have clarified that. But what I mean is, I really feel like the game could benefit from a high player count competitive game. So as far as the components, the cards, it's nice, big, chunky cards as you saw. I really actually like the die box. I haven't seen a lot of games do that, right? It's just a simple idea of folding up a piece of cardboard and having a die box where it's a secret result. I like that. I think that's a really cool way to do that. It ups the component quality, gives you that nice little toy factor with, ooh, look at this die box. You know someone's going to constantly shake it, and you're going to have to be like, hey, please don't bring your sword and scratch my floor. That's an old school Dice Tower podcast story, but it's just one of those toy factor things. It's kind of cool to see, right? So you have the die box, you have the cards, and then you have the communication skill of trying to get your friends to guess what you're thinking based purely on what you draw. And it's not as easy as it seems. Sure, it feels like it at first, but there are mauve cards, as you saw. Mauve or expert. Those are tough symbols. You're talking about, let's pull another one of those up really quick. One of the mauve type cards would be this. It's like almost Greek letters. Or how about this one on the back here? I'm sorry, that's not mauve. This is mauve. I don't know my colors, to be honest with you. But this one, is the spiral going that way? that way or that way. That's insanely ridiculous. So obviously, getting those is pretty hard to get, but once you do it, you feel like champions. So all that to say this, I did not think this was going to be that neat of a game. I thought it was going to be like telephone and essentially with your hands. It is basically, it's still more of an activity to me than a game. It's more of like, hey, we got a few minutes between games, let's do this. It's not like, oh, I can't wait to get over there and play this game of palm reader. No offense, I mean, it's good. It is what it is, but it knows what it is, and that's what I like about it. It doesn't pretend to be something so much more grandiose than it is. It knows its strengths and does it well. It does it in this neat looking box, and the component quality is really there for a small box game all about communicating information with your hand. So I do have to give this credit. I thought I wasn't going to like it, but I liked it a good deal more than I thought I was. So that is Palm Reader. If you're into these types of party games, go check. Sorry, dropping on a package and I wasn't expecting one, so I was like, oh, cool, maybe it's a game. If you are into kind of these party games of communicating information, check out Palm Reader. Actually, I was fully expecting to say, don't worry about this one, but check it out because it's interesting and it does something new. It does something different, and it's always good to see a game do something different and new. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Dice Tower Brian. I just hosted a board game breakfast, guest host this week, as well as we've got some things coming up. Hope to see you soon. Until next time, see you.